Okay, Spurs have decided to part ways with Nuno, Espirito Santo. They've sacked him after just 4 months in the role. It's not the quickest sacking in Premier League history. I think Wigan Athletic have that number down. Um, but that is an embarrassment. I'm sorry, there's no other way to describe it. They put all their eggs in the basket with the stadium rebuild. That has now transpired wasn't a good idea. They haven't even got a title sponsor for the stadium yet. Went over budget, was delayed, so they couldn't sign any new players for 18 months, which sort of actually contributed to Pochettino's sacking in the end. Partly because the players stopped playing for him, partly because he couldn't strengthen and freshen up the squad. So they bring in Mourinho. The only club Mourinho has not won silverware at up to this point is Spurs. We don't know what he's going to do with Roma in Serie A, but the only club he's not won silverware with is Spurs. And there's a reason for that. They sack him days before a cup final because of disagreements over the European Super League, which is being reported. He refused to take training. There was a breakdown, a very quick breakdown in the relationship between Daniel Levy and Mourinho. So he's out the door. Very unexpected. The players were not happy with it. And the players basically down tools for the rest of the season because they were lucky to get into the Europa Conference League by, I think, a point over Arsenal. They were lucky. They pretty much stopped playing. The form collapsed at the end of last season. And then they spend all of the off-season, all of the summer, going through every single available manager they could think of, including Conte, who is now favourite to replace Nuno at Spurs, considering that talks broke down 4.5 months ago with Conte. They've started up again. I don't know. I don't understand what's changed. If anything, the situation's got worse now than what it was when Mourinho was shown the door. You could not make this up. Do I feel sorry for Nuno? Yes. Is there a lot of onus on the players? Absolutely. They're professionals at the top level. They should be able to adapt to new tactics. They're either not wanting to play for him or just flat out refusing to adapt to his. It's a pragmatic style. It's not the most attractive style. But it was successful for Wolves. Not only did he get Wolves promoted to the Premier League, he kept them in the Premier League and got them to an FA Cup semi-final. So his time at Wolves wasn't bad. It had run its course by the time he left, and when he announced, "I'm going to leave at the end of the season. I want to refresh myself and spend time with family," I was very surprised when he got the Spurs job. To be honest, with how he looked at the end of last season, he looked very tired. He needed a bit of a break from the game, and he hasn't been back to Portugal in several years. He wanted to spend time with family, which is fair. I think he's earned that. They sign him so late as manager, hardly any time in the transfer window left to make any squad signings and freshen the squad up. They start the season really well, but Harry Kane, for the whole of the summer, "I'm leaving. I want to leave." Doesn't report to pre-season training on time. Starts the season late, basically. That was a messy side saga. They start the season well, with Harry Kane not playing. The irony behind that, Harry Kane gets back into the side, the form disappears. And yes, you've got international breaks in there as well, so you can't really build any momentum, which is absolutely frustrating. They need to sort out the international calendar better, but that's another debate. And then in recent weeks, their league form has been just nothing short of catastrophic. Bearing in mind, this Man United team they lost to was battered by Liverpool. Battered. They're currently 10 points off the leaders Chelsea, which is not insurmountable. That is not a disaster at this stage of the season. But they haven't even allowed him to get to the transfer window in January to try and freshen up the squad and put his imprint on the team. It's ridiculous. So, yeah. Let's talk to Conte, a guy who we were in talks with that broke down over internal structures at the club, including the youth setup and scouting and the non-playing structures behind the scenes. They broke down over that. What has changed? What has changed in 4.5 months for suddenly Conte to go, "I'm interested again"? Because I can't see how Conte can salvage this overnight without making some severe squad changes. And if that means selling players like Harry Kane, who clearly doesn't want to be at the club anymore, he stated that he wants to leave. I don't know where you go, but a lot of the onus has to go on the players. Yeah, Nuno's style is not the most attractive at times. It's pragmatic and it does get results. Much like Mourinho's style isn't necessarily attractive at times, but guess what? It gets results. Giving a guy a 2-year contract and then 4 months in, going, "You know what, we're going to get rid of you now. We've had a few rough weeks. Oh, we've lost a couple of games." I cannot understand this win now mentality from every single club now. Because only one club can win the league, only one club can win the Champions League, only one club can win the Europa League, there's only a handful of teams that can win trophies every season. Okay? What Tottenham need to do is be better than last season. It's called progress. They're not progressing, they're getting worse. They are getting worse. And a lot of it lies with the players, and a lot of it lies with Levy. I feel sorry for Nuno. I think it's when you're like the ninth choice of managerial, on the managerial list for that appointment. That's not breeding a lot of confidence when there were 8 guys they considered were better than you for the job. And I think his managerial style probably wrong fit for the club. The players don't want to play that style, but they're professionals. They should be able to adapt and learn because they won't learn something. They can't defend. They can't score. They need a gritty box-to-box midfielder. They need another centre-back. And they need another centre-forward because if Harry Kane wants to leave, they need someone to put the goals in. They need at least 3 or 4 signings. They need to offload some players because there's players there who are not putting any effort in. It's plain to see. On Nuno's side of things, he did state when he left Wolves, I need some time with the family. I want to take a sizable break from the game and go back to Portugal for a while and refresh. I think he needs to do that. I don't think this was the right appointment at all, and that lies with Levy. But it also lies with the players not wanting to put effort in and not wanting to adapt to a different style. They stopped playing for Poch. They stopped playing after Mourinho was sacked. They pretty much downed tools. There's a lot. That's a divided dressing room. Clearly, there is that is a split dressing room. They're not singing from the same hymn sheet. They're not all buying in. They're not putting effort in, and they deserve to be where they are. They're racked with debt because of the stadium rebuild. They went over budget and over time. And of course, with the NFL only just coming back after the COVID pandemic, they've lost out on that revenue as well because of the stadium rebuild. So they put themselves in this position several seasons ago. This was inevitable that there was going to be problems when you don't sign any players for 18 months. Any players, apart from signing some contract extensions. And the Gareth Bale experiment, this is a club that said we can't afford to pay our non-playing staff, we're going to put you on furlough. But then within, less than a year, they're signing a guy for 300 grand a week, but won't give a player like Danny Rose, and we can criticise Danny Rose as a player for some of his inconsistent performances, but they wouldn't give him a wage increase that he was justified in asking for because he was consistent at the time. He asked, I think I'm worth this much. I want to stay at the club, but I think I'm worth this much. They end up shipping him out to Newcastle United. I don't want him. But then they sign a player who's more interested in playing golf, is disruptive in the dressing room, on his day is brilliant, but he'd rather play on a golf course and just collected 600 grand a week than Gareth Bale. Another big ego. Didn't work. Did not work. Let's stop pretending that was a good idea. Because all the players they signed to replace him have all left. All left. And some of them were decent players, and they were like, nah, I want to leave. Or, there's an offer to, I can actually get paid a better salary, or this club's got a better direction. What is Tottenham's direction? Explain. Because I don't understand. What's their philosophy? They knew what they were getting when they signed Nuno up to be manager with his pragmatic defence counter-attack style that, is pragmatic, basically. He sets up teams pragmatically. They knew what they were getting there, so they can't complain that he's got that certain style. Please explain to me what the philosophy and the directions of Tottenham, because I can't see one. There's another managerial sack day at Barnsley, so they're dropping. I mean, Coman last week, Steve Bruce leaving Newcastle. Managers are dropping. We're not even. It's the 1st of November. We haven't even got to the January transfer window yet, and managers in the top leagues around Europe are dropping like flies. God, if this continues, I mean, Norwich's managers under pressure. Solskjaer's, there's rumours about Solskjaer's future at Man United. You could not make this up. Because a lot of these clubs have got this stupid, we must win now all the time mentality. They're not giving managers time. They're not giving them the tools to do the job with support. And some of these clubs have signed some ridiculous contracts with players that are financially bleeding them dry. You just couldn't make this up. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. Rant over. I just find it absolutely puzzling what Tottenham are doing. And I'm not even a Tottenham fan. But I find it puzzling because they've just thrown him under the bus. In fact, the last 3 managers they've had, they've thrown under the bus. When it's actually the board and to a certain extent the players' responsibility to put the effort in. The board have made a shambles of the whole thing. But now they're talking to Conte again. Jesus, that's going to be fun, considering how it all ended at Chelsea for him. Again, with a breakdown in communication with the board and the manager. And he brought them success, they still sacked him. So we'll see what happens. But thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.